There have been many attempts to harmonize the Gospels over the centuries, and I think there's been some good, profitable things that have come from those harmonies. I personally I've liked to do my own harmony of the Gospel to see where the Gospels actually differ from each other. Because when you see that the authors are including certain things that maybe the other authors aren't, you get a sense of an emphasis that a particular author is making. And I almost like to look at the Gospels as long sermons. Each Gospel writer is preaching a sermon about the greatest life in history and its impact on this world, and wants to bring out certain emphases that you would expect a person to want to do. And Mark seems to emphasize the fact that the disciples were slow to come up with an understanding of who Jesus actually was, and we're made to relate to them. Are we slow to trust who Jesus really is? And an amazing thing that he'd actually die and suffer and rise, and it might not be until the resurrection that the disciples finally tweak. They finally get it. John wants to talk about the fact that Jesus is is God himself, and if we want to know who God is, we need to look at Jesus. And if we look at Jesus, we're going to get a good impression of who God is. And so each gospel writer has a different emphasis, and I think a harmony of the gospel, it actually shows us the differences between the gospel. And it's an event so massive and so significant as the arrival of the Son of God on earth certainly can be approached, because it is so big and it is so important, in many different ways, with different emphases, different truths being brought, nothing contradictory, but different truths being brought out by each author, different teachings, and we can just praise God that we have 4 sermons instead of 1 to get all of these emphases and all of these truths.